I feel that I've witnessed myself a lot of times talking about my shame, how I don't want to appear as weak. And when that thing gets triggered, that's when I become an idiot.
Namaste, bitches. Hello?
This video is about men asking the so-called emancipated women politically incorrect questions.
Yay.
Hi, I'm Astrid. I am the founder of The Arc. We are hosting this channel. I am running a company. I've worked in consulting. So has she.
Yeah, I've also worked in consulting. I also had a company.
And your name
is Kat.
So why this topic? I don't know how many discussions we've been in where we were talking about how angry can you be as a man in our society before you're called aggressive, right? And to which extent can you be dominant and then own your power before someone calls you a misogynist? There's this schizophrenic reaction they get from women, where women on the one hand say, no, you need to accept that I want to have my own career, I want to have all these things, and at the same time I want still someone who's like stronger than me and I want the shoulder to lean on. Yeah. So we thought, let's get together another woman who on paper is like wonderfully emancipated.
Not really.
both on paper and in reality. And let's get together questions from all of you guys out there where you are confused about these emancipated, strong women.
Yeah, and you got like an overwhelming response.
Yeah, we did. Actually,
we were up, did you say, until 3 a.m. texting people.
It was wonderful.
Collecting questions.
Yeah. So we are just going to read them out and try to share a response that is as authentic and as sincere as possible. So just to understand where you're coming from, I'm going to ask Kat, your relationship with femininity and all these labels.
Yeah, so I think I never really even tried to embrace my femininity until maybe 2 years ago. And I guess I didn't even, I think it's all related to how you grow up. So how I grew up was not really embracing your sexuality, either gender too much, so any kind of traits. So I was meant to be like a woman, but in the docile way, not in the kind of sexual, sensual way. And certain masculine traits as well, I wasn't kind of meant to express. So
can you give an example?
Like anger, certainly being direct. And
knowing Kat, she is so direct.
I can be, and so I feel alive when I can be a little bit angry if I want to, when I can say what I think, but I hold myself back a lot as well. So I'm still kind of trying to kind of embrace all these qualities. I don't really want to be feminine or masculine. I just want to be whatever I want to in every situation. So yeah, that's my journey. I'm definitely still massively on it. What about you?
So I think I have a very weird relationship with femininity, if you may call it so. I have always grown up with this idea that as a girl on the schoolyard, you basically lose in the fights. And I used to be the super, kind of like, oh my god, I was getting involved in all those fights, and I always lost. And so I always felt that femininity is something where you're really shy and, take yourself back. And I had a very bad relationship with this for a super long time, because that's not my nature. So everybody who knows me is like, I'm so loud, I'm so out there, I'm interrupting everybody. On the other hand, I can lead big groups, so but at school that wasn't cool. And I was always too much for everybody. I always felt as feminine being very pretty, very ladylike, and it's something I wouldn't master. And then when I entered into my job, it was very funny because I never had the idea that women or men were not equals, and I started my career literally with a bang. The more I approached 30, there are all these women empowerment classes popping up because your colleagues are getting pregnant and they're getting on part-time, and that was the first time when I started to think of myself as a victim. And I know those courses and classes were all done with the best intentions, but when you then get all those videos and TED Talks and all the literature about how just because you have breasts and a vagina, which are things that you cannot really change easily, or at least I don't have the desire to change, that makes you eligible for that part of the crowd that systematically gets treated worse. And that is a very weird and paralyzing thought. Cool, let's start with the first question. What role does looking good, looking attractive play for you at work and your career? Do you think that you have to be beautiful to be successful? Let me elaborate on that.
So I think we overemphasize the importance of beauty.
Yeah.
I always thought it was really, really important. And then I was like, actually, I think vibes and how you act and your energy and stuff are much more important. I think looking good does bring advantages. But I can think of examples of people who I don't think are very good looking who are very, very successful and people love and also have gorgeous boyfriends, honestly, and they're just really cool people. So I think ultimately it's not that important, but people think it's really important. I don't think it's best to focus on beauty, if you know what I mean. I think it's best to focus on the energy. And I've been in situations where I changed over a short period of time, not physically, but I was in different vibes, and it was just so interesting to me how differently people responded to me, that I was wearing the same clothes, it was the same, it's basically things in the same day, but completely different vibes. And I had very extremely different responses to myself, which was when I kind of, on a really deep level, understood it's not about how you look. It really is about how you give yourself.
Beauty only gets you that far.
Exactly.
Yeah, it gets you to a level where the person who is superior to you likes to be entertained. Yeah, but if that person sees you end up being a competitor, your beauty doesn't help you, right? I do have a feeling you can dominate a meeting more easily if you are a beautiful person. But again, it's the 10%. And I have a question for you, actually. Have you ever played on your beauty or your looks to actually get something at work?
I haven't done the whole, rub your boobs against someone or something. But of course, I try to look good when there's something at stake, if there's a presentation to give or whatever. Is that playing? But I didn't feel like that was trying to achieve something through my looks. I felt it was more giving me confidence that I'm not going to be judged when I'm there.
Okay.
I think another thing that occurred to me here is that I think sometimes we attribute things to beauty, and I have done, that are something else, and it's actually an excuse. So, I'm not pretty enough, that's why I don't have a boyfriend. Or I'm weighing too much, that's why I don't have a boyfriend.
Well, that's why I didn't get the promotion. Because
or in a work context, it could, I mean, I don't know whether people do it in a work context, but this whole thing, you have to be beautiful, I think, in a sense, it's a cop-out instead of looking, if you keep focusing on that, you're not focusing on the things that really matter, actually, the things that will really make a change in your life. If it's a cop-out.
Ta-da! Question answered? We don't know. Let us know in the comments. What's the deal with men making catcalls in the street or attempting to flirt with you at work, even if you don't like them? I mean, what rules are being broken here?
You feel like he's doing it to show he can dominate you. To me, that's a sign that, again, they don't value you as a person. They're trying to put you down.
What needs to happen within you so that you don't have that sort of reaction, hey, someone wants to put me down? Or what needs to heal?
Of course. It's,
I don't know.
You're getting to a really good point. Why is that the immediate thing that I think that someone wants to put me down? And it's feeling stronger inside, because then I wouldn't think someone's trying to put me down. I wouldn't feel like the submissive girl. I'd feel like, oh, well, he's flirting with me. He really thinks I'm hot. Well, okay, fine. Moving on. Have fun, dude. That's actually such a good point. And I think you're hitting on a really sore spot, or a really important spot, at least for me, that there are certain kind of explanations one immediately goes to, and thought patterns.
So maybe translating for the person who wrote the question, when women act defensive, things that might be a cause for this is that they feel intimidated because they haven't healed from a lot of other things, because taking compliments can put you into the situation of having to give back or having to reciprocate something where you're like, I don't want to be in that situation.
And exactly, also with the flirting, sometimes you feel like what you're saying, you feel like the person now expects.
Yeah, that's a big thing in the job area.
Exactly,
right?
that you feel like, oh, I have to flirt with this dude because otherwise there's going to be negative consequences for me. Yeah. And again, that adds to feeling uncomfortable because you feel like I have to be entirely fake now, and I have to be so careful about the line. Like if I flirt, then he'll want even more, but if I don't flirt, he'll be pissed off, that kind of thing.
What's the deal with men making catcalls in the street?
How do you feel, actually?
I rarely get catcalled. When you say, what's the deal? I guess the question is, if you feel uncomfortable about it, why do you feel uncomfortable? And when I was younger, I remember when anyone would do something on the street, I remember there was one person who walked up to me and saying, "You're so beautiful, can I invite you for dinner?" And I'm like, what? And I literally got so scared, I ran away. He was such a nice guy, actually. I was on flight mode. And actually I have a different story. My story is shame. I'm so ashamed that someone would see that beautiful thing in me, which I'm like trying to, I don't want to say hide, but I feel so uncomfortable living that, as I said before, ladylike sort of persona. So if someone sees that in me, I'm like,
although I cannot like that.
Oh my god. So with me it's shame. I feel ashamed that someone sees that side that I, when being put into that box, which is not a bad box to be in, I guess, likes that. Yeah, so that's my story. And at work, I have a very similar feeling what you have described. It's that when someone crosses this line of, hey, I'm like very flirty with you, I feel put in a place where I have to reciprocate, and if I don't, I'm not going to get the next promotion, and I don't like that.
Okay, this is a great question.
Yeah?
Would you consider yourself a failure if you only cared for a family and not succeed in a career at work? Or would you consider other women that way if they decided to follow that path? And this is an awful question to answer honestly for me, because I have to quite honestly say I do have a stereotype that I expect of my friends to have ambitions in both areas, not at the same time. But and I judge myself as well by both standards. I want to be at different points in my life I've done well on both.
And it's so crazy. I had the same reaction. I said, hell no, like this is crazy. My answer would be yes. I'm not allowing myself to just have a simple life. You know, I need to be that person who fulfills all these expectations. And as a result of that, I myself become so judgmental. And just not having that inner freedom to say, it's fine. And maybe at some point, I'm even jealous of people who are just like, my husband's rich, jackpot. You know,
I judge, and at the same time, I'm massively jealous of people who allow themselves to be the princess. Because I would love to be that. And at the same time, the guilt would never allow me. Like at this point, at least, I feel so much guilt because I feel like it's really unequal and I'm putting a lot of burden on someone else and stuff. So,
Next question.
Okay, Astrid. What might you lose by focusing on being strong and emancipated?
Yeah, what is strong and emancipated? If I try to think of my stereotypical messed up vision of what is strong and emancipated, I would look as a woman who was like so independent, so Madonna, you know, and it seems like a frightening image for me. For me, that is someone who has cut off a lot of personal connections and vulnerability. And that's just my understanding. It's and probably everybody has a different one. So what I would lose is this connection. Having said that, I just realized that this is something very stupid to say, because real strength is really owning and mastering your inner bullshit. I think if that's what you do you don't lose anything. The one thing though that I know I need to master better, and I think a lot of these like career women might do well mastering better, is their access to their own vulnerability. I have this thing that if I'm vulnerable, I'm not cool. Yeah, and no, very bad. Yeah. So for me, it's like the feeling I'm getting is someone is pulling away the ground from my feet, and then I'm just falling. And that is not a place where I feel strong. So somehow I have to pull that into my comfort zone, I guess, to be more okay with that sort of feeling.
So many things just came up when you were talking. When you were talking about vulnerability as pulling the ground from your feet, I think if I'm showing some level of weakness, people won't like me anymore. I'll also be just like this nutbag, like, oh, she's too emotional, she's too this, too that.
Oh my god, she's too emotional, I hate that.
And also losing respect for me, like, oh, she's not the tough woman I thought she was. Or that I'm a downer as well. Oh, she's emotional, like, oh, she's not fun. And I do also think that actually partly that's obviously something we imagine, but partly I think it is true to some extent that our society doesn't really value that so much. But yeah, so what do you lose by being strong? You totally lose your ability to connect. So
bad, agreed on that. Yeah. There you go, Carl. That's our answer. Cool. Next question.
As a loud and strong woman, are you okay with being dominated? Tell us, Astrid.
Oopsie daisies. Oh my goodness.
That's a yes.
Astrid! I hate you. Okay, like here's the thing.
Okay, I was answering for myself. Yes. Please.
Okay, like let's dissect this. It sounds too obvious. Do I like being dominated?
Also in what way?
Generally, no.
Yeah, exactly.
But maybe that's an interesting insight. Like our reaction is an interesting insight that at some level, a lot of people just long for that. Yeah, I mean, definitely. And by the way, also like both being dominated but also dominating. Yeah. Right? I think because it's so at the edge of the comfort zone of our society that we grow up with, just like surrendering things that I find hard to live in this society as a whole. And I'm curious, being like completely surrendering as well as dominating someone else. Yeah. And being faced with complete surrender. And obviously now there's this whole like sexual connotation to this question.
Well, if we're talking about this sexually, the way I see it is that situations that stress you can also be like
ultra sensitive, exactly. Right?
But I don't want to be dominated all the time.
Full lifestyle BDSM, don't call her.
Be very disappointed.
If that's what we're talking about. We don't know, but that's what we made of your question.
So much to that question.
Is that question answered? We hope it is.
Yeah.
How can we, and by we mean men apparently, start flirting with you? It seems that you react in a completely different way than normal girls, which causes confusion or a lack of confidence in going the first step.
True. Get me drunk.
Admit that you are a bit of a
No, I think this is all to do with my confidence. Maybe that's always kind of the intellectual stuff has been easier for me than the confidence in personal things. Maybe, I don't know. And then, so I have this.
Maybe yes.
No, it's just. It helps if I've had a drink, because then I'm playful and then I will flirt with you. I fall for guys if I have really good conversation. But if I keep spending time with you, and then you can for example, you can try with physical touch.
I love how you're giving people a recipe.
For me, you can start with physical touch, and if I reciprocate or like seem to feel really comfortable with it, you can just keep escalating.
I need to ask you because seems like a thing that is true for most women. So I'm curious. For the label strong/emancipated woman that struggles with vulnerability, let's just assume that for now, what do you think would be like the best approaches, or what's the best approach?
I've got to get them out of their head, I think.
Yeah.
So initially, So either at some point when you've done all the like physical escalation, you know she's willing to kiss, that you can just like kiss her and then she'll get out of her head or even more into it.
Yeah.
Or you can try talking about emotional topics.
I love it.
I don't know. I think yeah. What do you think? You asked this question.
The one thing I get triggered by, again, is like power play. So if there's a thing of, I just want to sort of like win over you, or just, when I feel that I'm like a project that just makes all my emancipated woman alarm bells go bing, 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 bing. And I'm so triggered. Whilst if there are people who choose to cut through my bullshit and just see the more like soft, maybe sexual, maybe lovable side, it literally knocks me out of my socks. For me, it means like they actually like me, and for
they get you.
Yeah, and for someone like me, it's while putting such high standards on myself, it is so hard for me to like me, and then if someone else comes and says, I really like you, and I like you when you are the way that you are most scared of.
Yeah.
When you are Bambi, when you are this vulnerability impersonation.
I've never seen you be Bambi.
That's always my image that I have. When I'm thinking of vulnerability, I think of Bambi, And so if someone manages to see that.
So what you're also saying is basically it's connection, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But for instance, if someone feels like, wow, you've achieved so many things, it doesn't touch.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't.
Admiration doesn't turn.
It doesn't touch a part of me that goes. Yeah.
Because it's not connection.
You think you answered the question?
Very thoroughly.
We hope we did. Cool. So, how much man can a man really be? Shut up. But that's not fair. It's a very sincere question. Without triggering your emancipated side. And this is amazing because this guy gave us some context. So, if I, in brackets personally, see strong emancipated women, it's hard for me to find the connecting spot. We are not naturally going in a conversation with you because we have to think, how much men can you handle if you're connected with your emancipated side? And this thinking causes confusion and hesitation, which I know women hate. I love the question. Okay, I think I have a response. If, in that context, being a man means this kind of thing, being very present, really owning your power. Here's the thing. I love men who own their power. This pinnacle of the ultimate shoulder to lean on. Now, I think the one thing that these strong, emancipated women sniff, and that actually also includes myself, is there's a difference between I am strong as a man and I also let you be strong. I want to treasure and worship your strengths just as much as I treasure and worship my own strength. And I need to be strong and I can't have you next to me because if that happens, I'm going to feel like a loser. So, and this is something that I feel I have encountered a lot. So one story I can share is I loved to call, to ask my close friends, what if the woman in your life made more money than you? Most of the people who responded to me were like, you know what, if I'm being fully honest, I'm not sure I would like it. And one person said I would develop a whole new level of ambition. Sweet. It is very sweet and honest response, but it puts, of course, me at a place where I'm like, wow, if that's what happens, what should be my ambition, and obviously my ambition is not to make more than someone else, but to just, I love having a lot of money at my disposal, it means I can invest, I can have impact, and I love that.
I actually think a lot of women want to look up to a man, no matter how, how kind of career oriented, how accomplished. They don't want someone, they still want someone often who is actually above them. So in a sense, they can probably handle a lot of man in that respect, I guess. Sometimes you can become a little bit competitive, but if you can play with that, I don't think it's always a bad thing. It can also become fun if you're conscious and kind of playful. Yeah, you can sometimes be competitive, or certainly like debating and some, but kind of don't see it as kind of winning or losing, see it as being playful. What do I consider manly?
Yeah.
So I think you were talking about this shoulder or this rock. I think that is one thing that I consider manly as well, kind of some level of like groundedness, stability, strength. And of course that can be physical, but in particular it's emotional. So someone can be, you know, not physically that strong, but I did mention this to you before, kind of if I'm getting worked up about something and they can just calm me down, like with one, like,
she has her hand on my
hand on her, like, or put their arm around me or something when I'm being vulnerable, maybe a little bit kind of high strung. That's actually because I'm upset about something rather than I'm trying to be stressy. Then for me that is actually feels very comforting, and to me that is actually manly.
I have sad news for you.
What?
That was the last question.
That's really sad. Enjoy this.
Do you have a summary? I'm asking because I have one.
Maybe you go ahead.
Okay. Yay! I can talk. Actually, one thing I've realized answering all these questions, the moment that we appeared, that these strong emancipated women appear to be weird, confusing, or schizophrenic to the world out there, is when we are triggered. I feel that I've witnessed myself a lot of times talking about my shame, how I don't want to appear as weak, and when that thing gets triggered, that's when I become an idiot. You know, that's when I react harsh, when I snap, when I become angry, and all these things. And it's basically me being triggered, whilst the one thing that knocks me out of my shoes is when someone chooses to see like the beauty and then the nice things and the sweet things
and
behind
something
that.
We crave, and if
it's
we
so bad,
see
right?
someone doing that,
and it was like, oh my god. Right? Oh my god.
That this kind of maybe the projected strength is also a protection, and that there's a lot of vulnerability in there. Having the patience to kind of explore that is, I think, something that we find really special.
Cool. Well, that's it for today, I guess.
Thank you for inviting me doing this together.
If you have more questions,
I'm really curious about what you guys have to say.
Or if you wildly agree or disagree with any of the politically incorrect stuff that we've been answering, have a beautiful rest of the day, right?
Yeah, definitely. Have a good time.
Subscribe to this channel, obviously, and come to our Facebook group, thearc.site/Facebook group, for a lot of inspiration. If you want to learn more about the ARC or check out what we're doing, our website is thearctraining.org. Come and join, it's a hell of a ride.
Yeah.
Okay, we are live. We're live, baby.
Hello, man.